vocabulary. Remember the word cereal? We often eat cereal at breakfast. It is taken from the name of the pagan goddess Ceres, also known as Demeter by the Greeks. Ceres was worshipped as the goddess of grain, especially on her day of Cyrenella, or April 19th. That's her day. The goddess was also honored, however, at the harvest time of Lugzana. That's why we get the word cereal, from the goddess of grain. See, this is just ingrained. I didn't even know this until I read this, but he's got insight that I don't have. In Britain, 6 new coins with the image of Harry Potter have been minted. And the 1 crown coins are legal tender on the Isle of Man, which is largely populated by witches. The Isle of Man. See, witchcraft, the witchcraft capital of the world is England. It is. They've got more witches per capita there than any other part on earth, okay? And much of what is controlled in the earth through the Illuminati, through witchcraft, is controlled through particularly London, England. Remember I said earlier the Rothschilds sit every day at the end of the gold and silver day and they decide the price of gold and silver. London. Witchcraft has a demoralizing effect, and this is clearly visible in our strange present society. Recent studies have shown that 36% of Americans between the ages of 18 and 29 have at least one tattoo. Now, when you get tattoos, you're basically like, I'm trying to liken it. It would be like implanting a demon in your body. When you get tattoos, it's basically like you're implanting a demon. When you get all these piercings and all this other, you're opening yourself up to the demonic realm. You're providing portals for them to come into you. Okay? Witches have set this trend for us, but Leviticus 19:28 forbids tattoos. Leviticus 19:28. Leviticus 19:28 reads, "Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord." I didn't say it, God did. Well, it's harmless. It's just good, clean fun. Do you realize that most people that operate tattoo parlors are Satanists? Most people. It's well known. They're Satanists. Well, why would they be Satanists, pray tell? Because Satan puts people in key positions to defile humanity in the greatest way they can. People that are Satanists, many of them own tattoo parlors. Many of them are the number one profession for a Satanist in a witch coven that is trying to be covert is a so-called Christian pastor. That's the number one profession because it's the best cover, and they can defile the most amount of people that way. Many of them many of them own tattoo parlors. Many of them are into legalized prostitution, drug running. Many of the women are prostitutes. They know that they can defile humanity in a greater way that way. Satan commissions them to do these things. That's what they do. That's their religion. And they're more zealous about their religion than typical Christian. Way more zealous. Part of that reason is because Satan is a cruel taskmaster. And once you get into that level of the occult, he just doesn't let you sit like the average Christian might do, warm in a pew. He doesn't let the average Satanist do that. Satan will whip you from pillar to post and keep that carrot dangling out in front of you. They're more motivated than we are, for the most part. And they realize what I'm saying is true way more than the average Christian person who's going to just blow all this off and say that this has no merit. Well, I can prove all of it, so I think it does have merit. So, again, Leviticus 19:28 forbids tattoos. It also is true that many witches make their money as prostitutes, and like I just said, sexual sins are plaguing our nation as never before because it is a spiritual problem. During the time of the witches' Sabbath of midsummer, or the third week of June in Los Angeles, California hosted an erotica convention. And this is like an adult pornography convention, which drew 50,000 participants. who attended a series of sex seminars where they were taught techniques in perversion, and many were prepared to audition for forthcoming porno store shows. They have things where they'll actually have one porn star, and they will have her, this one, she had sex with 800 different men in a period of, I don't know how many hours. They were lined up like in turnstile formation to have sex with one woman. And that goes on. It's not reported in the news. So this stuff is actually going on in this country right now. In Germany, there are heavy elements of witchcraft. During the year 2002, Germany legalized prostitution. There are now 400,000 working prostitutes in Germany. They are reportedly that they were kept busy by the soccer fans that gathered there for the World Cup that they just had. They were all kept busy. They're legalized. Prostitution in Germany is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now remember, everything that I'm reading you is all reference. These are all reference news stories from secular sources. So you can't say, well, you've got some kind of Christian bias. This was widely reported in secular media, which I think gives it more credence. In Houston, Texas, I just sent this email out on this. A new billboard advertising Budweiser beer is attracting much attention. The massive billboard have a picture of Jesus in the center holding a can of Budweiser beer in front of his face. In large print on the left side of the billboard says King of the Jews. On the right side it says King of Beers. I got the picture of the billboard. I sent it out to my home email because I wanted to see this when I read this. Listen to this. Florida has another serious problem. Florida is stinking wicked. Wicked! Now, I'm just going to throw something out there. You don't have to believe this. I was supposed to speak at a major, there's a company called, not a company, but an organization called We the People that had just started a 71-city tour. And they were going from 71 different cities around America. They started it. They asked me if I would be one of the speakers. I had my pick. Tampa or Orlando, whatever I wanted. I was going to do a very abbreviated version of my DVD, Avian Flu Killer of Millions. I had to squinch it into 45 minutes. That was pretty tough. I had an hour, but some of it was going to be question and answers. I had to squinch this into 45 minutes. So I went and I took my thing and I cut out 80 slides. I did all this work in order to be able to have a presentation of 45 minutes and still kind of be hitting the high points. I knew of somebody else that I wanted to speak in this conference. Now, they hadn't had any problems in the conference up until the time when they got to Florida. And I knew another Christian lady and her son that I gave them the lead on, and they were going to speak in Orlando. I said, why don't you let them speak in Orlando? I'll speak in Tampa on Monday. They were going to speak in Orlando on a Sunday. And this guy named Bob Schultz was going to be interviewed. Bob Schultz has been on the forefront of trying to expose a lot of the corruption in our government, particularly how it relates to the IRS. And they wanted me to speak at this. I wasn't even going to be speaking on the IRS. Now, they had done 9 cities. But when they got to Florida, it was like they hit a brick wall. Now, it's very well known in witchcraft that there's, in the Bible, it says we battle not against flesh and blood, but against princes, principalities, rulers of wickedness in high places. The Bible says in Daniel, it said that when Daniel went on that 21-day fast, it said that the day that you started fasting, Daniel, basically the angel was trying to get to him to appropriate this answer to prayer. But what did the angel tell Daniel? It said that I was hindered by the prince of Persia. What's that? A demonic, fallen angelic entity, most likely fallen angelic entity, over the area of Persia, which I believe is like Iran, Iraq, modern-day Iran, Iraq. So angels can be hindered through fallen angels. It's well known. It's talked about in the Bible, okay? Well, I think that Florida is so stinking wicked. It is such Sodom and Gomorrah. You've got certain places in this country that are really super, super wicked. New York City, LA, and you can probably throw in all of California.